can't have a worse play outside of Kadarius Toney than what Mike Evans did early in that game.
Thank you for bringing up Kadarius Toney. What was the sponsorship he had here?
Fast Twitch energy drink.
And what was his stat line in that game? Because I think McCole Hardman came up yesterday and almost had a stat line to rival it. Are you ready, Stugotz? The McCole Hardman stat line. This beats Josh Allen's great throw. This beats DeMar Hamlin's fake punt. 1 carry for -1 yard. 1 catch for 2 yards. 2 fumbles.
Only 1 loss, though.
It was a big moment in the game, too.
That is correct. That is a shitty stat line. And he is advancing, and Josh Allen is not because Stephon Diggs could not catch that ball.
And Patrick Mahomes.
And that. He's pretty excellent, even as we see. I think this is the most doubted version of this team the last 5 years. I think it's actually a surprise that they won that game, because I don't believe many people have a great deal of confidence betting against the Chiefs the last 4 or 5 years when they're favorites. Yesterday, they were a 2.5-point underdog, and I think people were scared to bet them because of how they looked all season. We remember what it looked like them losing to the Raiders at home. Like that, they looked done. Their offense didn't look like it could travel anywhere and do anything.
It's one of the reasons I say this is a great opportunity for Patrick Mahomes, Dan, because when you talk about like Tom Brady and some of those guys, some of the all-time greats, they've all done it with teams that you don't think are the best version of that team. And he's doing this on the road against, I guess, the 2 quarterbacks in that discussion for best quarterback in the game. He just did it against Allen, has a chance to do it against Lamar Jackson.
Well, let's discuss this for a second, because I think we all agree that this is a good and fun Final Four. I think we'd also agree with the following. In the AFC, you have the 2 quarterbacks we know are stars by themselves, and in the NFC, you have 2 quarterbacks that you wonder if it's the system that makes them that. And San Francisco eked by one of the quarterbacks. I think we all agree, that guy's a star. That guy's going to be a star, and that's the youngest playoff team there's been in 50 years, Stugotz.
Crazy.
Green Bay going into San Francisco, and you seeing San Francisco weakened the moment Debo leaves the game. We all of us see it at the same time. If they do not have McCaffrey, Debo, and Trent Williams, all of them, Brock Purdy is going to suffer by degrees in a way that Patrick Mahomes doesn't, as his receivers drop 300-plus yards in passes. But that stat on the 49ers, Stugotz, that they're 1-30 now, because they won this one. They now have the 1. They're 1-30 when Shanahan trails by 5 or more points headed into the 4th quarter. That's something no one will ever say about Mahomes. You will never say Mahomes is not someone I fear in the 4th quarter, because I just gave you the stat, that he's 8-2 in playoff games when he's down 7 or more. Kyle Shanahan is now 1-30 if he trails by 5 or more. And he just did it to save his season, because Stugotz would have come after Shanahan all over again on you fraud. All you are is this system guy who can do it with an undrafted or the last pick in the draft. You could do magic and stuff, but when he's late in the game and it's the 4th quarter and you need a quarterback to be Joe Montana or Steve Young and not Garoppolo, your system falls apart because your quarterback's not actually that good. He can't do the things that Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes do.
I'm still tired of Shanahan, even though he won. Like, enough of he could do it with this quarterback. He could do it with that quarterback. He did it with Garoppolo. He's doing it with Brock Purdy. He's done what? Here's what he's done. He hasn't won a Super Bowl with any of them. Not any of them. He hasn't won a single. I am so tired of Kyle Shanahan never being on the hot seat, always being anointed as this guy who can get it done with any quarterback. Well, then get it done, because he hasn't gotten it done.
8 weeks ago, Brock Purdy was the MVP.
8 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
If that's not getting it done, I'll take not getting it done, because that seems like it'd be fun.
Get it done with a good quarterback.
What?
I believe that he has these quarterbacks around, Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, where if he doesn't get it done, it's because his quarterback wasn't good enough. It's never Kyle Shanahan's fault. It's always he didn't have a good enough quarterback.
So you think he would rather have an excuse than a Super Bowl win?
Yep.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Would Kyle Shanahan rather have an excuse than a Super Bowl?
So if he wins with one, he's a genius and good for him. But if not, it's never his fault. So he's choosing to not have a good quarterback.
You're coming
intentionally.
Around. Yes.
Billy,
I don't know.
He traded Trey Lance. I mean,
that's right. That was the good quarterback.
Cowboys.
He tried to get a
he
good
gets
one.
listen. He doesn't get criticized for that. I mean, he traded all his draft picks up to get Trey Lance, and he blames it on John Lynch. It's never his fault.
Stugotz is in good position here, but he's also in trouble. Lamar Jackson, he says, win a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan, he says, win a Super Bowl.
He's a win away from being in the Super Bowl again.
They're in the NFC Championship game.
We'll win it.
But he's in trouble, though, because you've heard me say this before. You've heard it a lot from me. You've heard me talk about the critic always gets to be right because there are so many other people every year that lose than the one who wins. And then he just moves to the next one. Like if Lamar Jackson wins, he'll just go right over to Kyle Shanahan.
It is a bad spot for him though, because if he loses to Dan Campbell when he's a genius and everyone looks at Dan Campbell like kind of like
That's
a
what's got to
fool,
happen. That's what's got to
he's gonna look bad.